Amy Schumer was once the highest-paid female comedian in the world. She had a hit show, a blockbuster movie, a $13 million Netflix deal, and a reputation as Hollywood's boldest feminist voice. And then she spent the next decade proving she never believed any of it in the first place. Before everything came apart, Amy Schumer was genuinely one of the most exciting voices in comedy. She came up through the New York stand-up circuit in the mid-2000s, made it to 4th place on Last Comic Standing in 2007, and spent the next several years grinding her way to relevance through guest appearances and Comedy Central specials. Her real breakthrough came in 2011 at the Comedy Central roast of Charlie Sheen, where her fearless and unapologetically dark set completely stole the show. Nobody knew who she was walking in. Everybody knew who she was walking out. Inside Amy Schumer launched in 2013 and was an instant hit. Bold, unfiltered, tackling sexism and body image and gender politics with a confidence that felt genuinely fresh. She was being called a feminist icon, a voice for women who were tired of being polite, and then came Trainwreck in 2015. Written by her, starring her, directed by Judd Apatow, and featuring a then relatively unknown John Cena in a role that would go on to launch his entire acting career. The movie made over $140 million at the box office against a $35 million budget. That same year, she became the highest-paid female comedian in the world. She had everything. And then the cracks started showing. The first sign that Amy Schumer's public persona and her private behavior were two very different things came in early 2016 when comedian Wendy Liebman posted a tweet accusing her of stealing one of her best jokes. Within hours, Kathleen Madigan piled on with similar accusations. And then Tammy Pescatelli. And then a viral compilation video started circulating on YouTube showing Amy's jokes placed side by side with the material they appeared to come from. Not similar, not adjacent, almost identical. She went on the Jim Norton show and denied everything, suggested the women accusing her were probably just jealous of her success, and implied they were struggling with their own career outcomes. Tammy Pescatelli fired back directly. She said, "What has always been amazing to me is that Amy purports to be a feminist and yet only steals from other female comedians. If we call her on it, we are jealous or career-shamed, the feminist who steps on other women to get ahead. File that one away, because it is going to keep coming up."
Amy Schumer says she's no joke thief.
I did not steal any jokes, and I wouldn't.
Comedian Amy Schumer isn't laughing this morning over those accusations that she stole jokes. Now, the Trainwreck star is strongly denying the charges, and ABC's David Wright has the story.
There's this skit from Schumer's Comedy Central show about a new diet and exercise plan.
Then, before you can say slap chef, they knock it out of your stupid mouth.
But here's the part that every other video glosses over because it is uncomfortable. And in my opinion, it is the most important part of this entire story. Because this is not about bad jokes or bad specials or bad takes on social media. This is about something much more specific. Amy Schumer did not just contradict her feminist brand, she contradicted it in the exact area where she was loudest: consent. In 2014, Amy Schumer stood on stage at the Gloria Awards and told a story about a sexual encounter with a man she called Matt. She described him in detail. His face was distorted. His eyes could not focus. He was, by her own words, severely intoxicated throughout the entire encounter. She told this story as part of an empowering speech. The audience laughed. She got a standing ovation. Now I want you to think about what that story actually describes. A man who, by her own account, was in no condition to consent. A man whose impairment she described in specific detail and then used as a punchline. If you reverse the genders in that story, and a male comedian told it from a stage in 2014, his career would have been over before he walked off. There would have been no debate about it. But Amy Schumer got a standing ovation, and that alone would be bad enough. But it did not stop there. On a separate occasion on a radio show, Amy Schumer casually mentioned moving a cab driver's hand toward her private parts. Without his consent. Without his knowledge, without any indication that he had agreed to that. She told this story the same way she told the Gloria Awards story. Like it was funny, like it was just another Amy Schumer bit about her wild life. 2 incidents, 2 men, both described in her own words as not consenting, and both told like they were punchlines. Now here is what makes this specific combination so significant, and why, in my opinion, no one has talked about it the way it deserves to be talked about. These incidents were not from before she became famous. They were not old material she had moved on from. They happened during and after the exact same period when Amy Schumer was positioning herself as one of the most vocal feminist voices in entertainment. She was on stages and in interviews talking about consent culture, about the importance of believing women, about how men needed to be held accountable for exactly this kind of behavior. She was saying all of that while these stories were already public, already on the record, already something anyone could find if they went looking. The Me Too movement took hold in 2017. Amy Schumer was front and center, supporting it loudly and publicly. And at that point, both of those stories had already been told, by her, in public, on purpose. That is not a blind spot. That is not hypocrisy in the casual sense of the word. That is a woman who understood exactly what consent meant, who talked about it constantly, and who had already told 2 stories about violating it and framed both of them as personal highlights. Your favorite feminist was describing behavior that her own movement would have ended careers for. And she got applause both times.
Like, I just sort of kind of like was sliding my leg over to him. Why am I saying this on here? I hate this.
While you're driving in the cab or while you're
Yes,
parked?
while he's driving. My friend was asleep in
So
the
you're
back.
opening your little chubby legs.
You little chubby
I referred to them as sturdy back then. Okay.
That is the Amy Schumer story that nobody told. Not the joke theft, not the Netflix special, not the Israel posts. Those are all real and they all mattered, but this is the one that exposes the actual gap between the character she performed and the person she was. She did not just fail to live up to her brand, she built her brand on top of behavior that directly contradicted it and dared anyone to notice. And for a long time, nobody did. Now, let us talk about the things people did notice, because the rest of the story is just as revealing, even if it is more familiar. The Glamour magazine incident made the pattern impossible to ignore. Glamour included Amy in their plus-size issue celebrating women at every size. Amy lost her mind over it. She went public saying plus size starts at a size 16, and she wore between a 6 and an 8, and being included without her permission did not feel right. Ashley Graham, who was also in the issue, called out the contradiction directly. She said Amy thrives on being a big girl in the industry, but when she is grouped in with us, she is not happy about it. That feels like a double standard. Because she had built her entire early career on jokes about her own body. She made her size part of her brand. She made it part of her feminist message. And the second a magazine put her next to other women doing the same thing, she decided she was actually not that kind of girl after all. Build the brand. Break the brand. Blame the audience when they notice. The Tampa show in 2016 is another perfect example. She stopped her own set to personally mock an audience member who disagreed with her, launched into an extended political rant that had nothing to do with why anyone bought a ticket, and watched over 200 people walk out. She had spent years claiming to be someone who understood regular people, who was one of them. And then she treated a paying fan like a prop for her own ego while the room turned against her in real time. Then came the Netflix special. $13 million, the Leather Special, 2017, the same tired jokes she had been doing for years, recycled and flat, delivered without the energy that had made her famous in the first place. IMDb users gave it a 3.1 out of 10. Netflix hit a rating record low on her behalf and had to change how they displayed ratings entirely. She got paid like a top-tier comedian and delivered like someone who forgot why people showed up. Her response was to blame alt-right trolls for organizing against her, not to reflect, not to acknowledge that the special was genuinely not good, just to find an outside enemy and point at them. That was always the move. Never accountability, always a villain. And while she was busy pointing fingers at trolls and critics and jealous comedians and misogynists, nobody seemed to notice that the one person never on her list of villains was herself. By the time the Israel-Palestine conflict broke out in October 2023, Amy had already spent years burning through audience goodwill. But what happened next accelerated everything. She shared a post on Instagram depicting pro-Palestinian protesters holding deeply offensive fabricated signs with language so inflammatory it spread immediately across social media. She called for editors at major news organizations to be fired. She shared a clip of Martin Luther King Jr. speaking about anti-Semitism completely out of context to justify her position. And then Bernice King, Martin Luther King's own daughter, stepped in and publicly corrected her on her own platform, in front of everyone. Being corrected about your weaponization of her father's legacy by his actual daughter is not a small moment. It is the kind of thing that follows you. And for Amy, it followed her straight into the Kinda Pregnant boycott of 2025, where calls to avoid her new Netflix film started before the trailer had even finished loading. So, where is Amy Schumer now? She lost 50 pounds. She separated from her husband. She deleted her old Instagram posts in November 2025 and said it was just a fresh start, moving forward with no regrets. She declared 2026 the year of self-care and self-love. Hollywood is not calling. Every other comedian who built a career on accountability and then got exposed tends to disappear quietly. Amy Schumer keeps posting, keeps performing, keeps trying to reframe the narrative as something that happened to her rather than something she built herself, one bad decision at a time. She didn't get canceled. She got compared to the standard she built and failed it in public. She claimed to be the woman who told the truth everyone else was too scared to say, and she was right that someone needed to say it. She just never considered that one day someone would say it about her,